Hi there. We all have a future that we envision for ourselves. And if you're thinking, Haley, no, I don't, you do. Some part of you does. And it's really beautiful to actually take steps towards that future and to feel like you're properly building it. I can't even put into words how it feels, but every single person watching this, you've felt it before. Even if you're sitting there thinking, I don't know if I've ever felt, you've felt it before. You've 100% felt it before. There is some goal that you had at some point in time that you decided that you were going to work towards and you made happen. And I usually don't like read the actual entries from the journal, but I found this particular example interesting because I remember being so proud of it when I wrote it like almost 3 weeks ago. Um, but I said that the more I tell the story of my life, the more I'm realizing I didn't just pour some concrete on the ground and call it a foundation. No, I drilled deep into the Manhattan schist bedrock because I am building a damn skyscraper. And I'm excited because I finally feel like I'm hitting ground level. And in case you were wondering, Manhattan shite is the bedrock of Manhattan, and it is the element that is so strong that it is able to withstand the weight of skyscrapers. And I think I convinced myself that because I switched careers so many times that I had to pick and choose what experience was relevant and only certain things were actually bricks in my foundation. But again, every single thing that I have gone through is the reason that I am who I am today. And every single every single experience has been one brick on top of another, or those experiences where it feels like a setback is apparently me just drilling deeper into the ground so I can build even taller. And I am very excited to finally be feeling like I'm hitting ground level. I don't feel like I had this example that I thought of a little while ago when I was first considering switching to candid content, but didn't. I was nervous, and I was like, maybe I'll just sprinkle in some candid content. And I I don't like the idea of being another consultant that posts like, you know 5 steps to feeling more confident, because every person is so different that like it just it's all just blanket bull, right? And so I didn't like that. But I'm realizing that like I decided to do the journal content because it feels the most true to me. But when I had thought of a candid video that I wanted to do, it was going to be titled something along the lines of like my take on chasing big dreams. And what I was going to talk about is uh like anybody who has had like a really big dream before knows that sometimes when you're really in the thick of it, your dream is like floating up in the air, like just getting bigger and bigger in your head. But then that makes you feel even further and further away from it. And if you really aren't feel if you really don't feel like you're working towards it or actually making the progress you want, then sometimes you feel like you're drowning. And I started thinking about how I felt so far away at that time that it was like my dreams were hitting the International Space Station, and how I actually felt was like I was in the bottom of the Mariana Trench. And I realized that I thought I was very deep in it, but then it turned out I was just floundering around in like 3 feet deep water, right? And I had that analogy maybe like a month or two ago, and it felt so incredibly prevalent. I actually had the analogy before I even thought about the I'm actually only standing in 3 feet deep water, because I was just so thick. I was in the thick of it at the moment that I really it. Oh, I was getting pressed. I was not in a great place mentally. And then when I finally realized that I was only in 3 feet deep water, ever since then I've been looking around, and especially like the past couple of weeks I have been reflecting on so much of my life and what I have done or what I've accomplished. And there was always a point where I feel like I'm in the Mariana Trench and my dreams are the space station. There's always a point. And then there's always a point where I finally realize I'm actually only in 3 feet deep water, and it is fully within my control to get my feet on dry land again. And then, of course, life threw a curveball and took me down for the count for a month because of like a really bad eustachian tube blockage. But again, that needed to happen because let me tell you, I don't even know what's past the International Space Station. But if I thought my dreams were there before, whew, the past month has given me so much more clarity on a number of things. And like I want to tell you, like, just want to keep saying buckle up, buttercup, because I've got plans for the next like 20 to 30 years, and there's plenty of room for whimsy along the way and room for like other goals. But it's nice knowing that I just keep saying to myself, like, follow the yellow brick road, because it's everything that I want can be along my path. Like, why not? Like, I'm only 32 and I've accomplished so many different things that I, quite frankly, was too scared to even dream for most of that time. And yet, here I am. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen by the time I'm like 52 or 62, because, whew, let me tell you, again, buckle up, buttercup, because we're building a skyscraper. And then apparently we're going to have to launch a rocket at some point and figure out what's past the International Space Station. And I'm pretty excited for that because I have the specs designed for my rocket. I have the specs already designed for my skyscraper. It's going to have a nice helipad, great. Um, I get very vivid with my daydreams, in case you couldn't tell. But that's also what makes me, again, so effective in my jobs or in any of the jobs that I've had, and also when working with clients. Is I I I love getting deep into the details. I can't. My best friend and I are very different in this, and so we had to have a conversation about it so we could better understand one another. But she likes to dream in overall concepts, and I need to dream in details. So if she's like, "Oh, hey, like, doing X, Y, and Z would be fun," I'm immediately in planning mode, like, okay, either here's how we could do it, or here's a different rendition of how we could do it, and these are the steps that we could take to make it happen. And then, do you want to do this path or do you want to do this path? And then she's like, I just wanted to daydream about this for a second. I'm like, oh, okay. But I need the details in order to be able to daydream. And that's what makes me so effective, is that, like, give me all the information possible and let me just like chew it up and see what spits out, right? Feel like a computer. Um, which I do have a journal entry written that I'm actually pretty excited about. That's called like using my unfair advantage, that I don't know what number it's coming up at, but I do talk about my brain and I refer to it as like a sci-fi 3D hologram brain, because that's sometimes how it feels. And I didn't realize that other people didn't feel that way, but I do. So, I will leave you with this question. What are you working on building? What future are you building brick by brick? And if you're like, Haley, I don't know, you're probably still building a future. You just don't actually have the specs laid out. So maybe it's time you took a look at the proposed floor plans and either got to work or made some alterations, did some daydreaming, and yeah, have a great day.